Hey, this is Sasha. Thanks for joining me in today's video. And today what I want to share with you is, should you get a blog, coach, or mentor? Stay tuned. I'll answer this question in this episode. All right, so if you're new to blogging, or maybe you've been blogging for a while, but you're struggling to get over the success of it, maybe you're just making a little bit at a time, you're trying to make a little bit of money, but it's just not working out or panning out, and you're wondering, man, should I get a coach? Should I get a mentor? How can I really ramp things up and accelerate things? Well, let me share with you some thoughts here. And the thing is when you go in and you're getting a blog coach or mentor, there's a lot of great upsides and benefits. And in fact, I do some coaching and mentoring as well. If you want to go to our Backstage income website and you go into coaching, you can check out that page. I also have been doing it a lot longer when I deal with investments on my Traders Fly site with coaching and mentoring there as well in the financial sector and industry. So anyways, I enjoy coaching and mentoring. It really makes people more accountable for what they're doing. And as I'm working with them, it's kind of like going to the gym. If you've got a buddy that knocks on your door and says, hey buddy, we're going to the gym at 6 a.m. every morning, chances are you're going to get to the gym, especially if they're into working out, and maybe you're not. So that's what a blogging coach or mentor can do, is that every week or every month, depending on what you're signing up for, they could go in and say, hey, what are you working on? What does it look like? And maybe we should do a little bit of this or a little bit of that. So they could shift and pivot your direction. Now, if you're new and maybe you don't want to go ahead and invest a lot of money in a coach or mentor, because coaching and mentoring does cost money, because you're devoting or taking up somebody's time, and it's dedicated, usually one-on-one time with somebody else, that they could be used for blogging, building courses, or doing other things with their time to building up their own business. What you could do instead is just grab yourself a friend who is also into blogging. And this is kind of like having an accountability partner. So you could do that on any website, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. You could find somebody, and you don't have to know them personally, but it's just more of, hey, let's do a check-in every week for 10, 15 minutes. You tell me what I'm doing, or what you're doing, and I'll tell you what I'm doing. And you give me 3 tips, and I'll give you 3 tips or insights, from what I'm seeing. And it's kind of like back and forth. And the more you get to know each other and one another, the more you can kind of ramp them up. And it's nice to have people at different levels. So if you have like 3 or 4 of these different people, that could be really well done, because now it's kind of an exchange, feedback. Okay, you give it to me from another person's perspective without any bias. And that's really nice, especially when you're dealing with somebody who's a stranger, because they could just give you the honest feedback. If you're asking people like your friends, family, your loved one, whether it's your wife or husband, that could be a little biased, because they'll be a little bit more nice to you. They'll say, hey, you're doing a great job, keep it going. But if you have an accountability partner, they could be a little bit more stiff and lay down the law, saying, hey, these things, something's not right here. Something just doesn't look right. This is too small. You got to make it bigger. You need a bigger arrow here to do the drop down on the start here. That button doesn't stand out enough. So different things like that those accountability partners could really pinpoint out. Of course, going with a coach or a mentor, if you're doing any kind of blogging for income, could really ramp things up, because they might be way ahead of you and make you think about things and really want to spend time just focusing on you. Whereas if you get an accountability partner, you kind of have to go back and forth. You have to spend some time, and then they spend some time. But that's a good win-win situation if you're not interested in spending some money. So I hope that gives you some insight. Blog coach or mentor, or maybe even an accountability partner. They're all great in their own way. It's just a question of which one is the right path. Coaching, I'd say, is more like a 1 or 2 sessions here or there. It's just kind of like a consultation. Mentoring, typically, from my perspective, it's like 3 to 6 months plus. And then if you're doing accountability partner, well, that depends on what you guys agree on, but it's kind of like a back and forth dialogue, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, that you meet up and kind of have like a discussion over breakfast, lunch, or dinner to talk about blogging. So whatever makes sense for you, go ahead and do that, because it's very nice to get a unbiased perspective for your blog. So that way you could see, hey, what should I do? What's my next step? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Maybe some insight on what I could do better, or what makes sense and what doesn't. And that at least opens your mind up. It doesn't mean you have to go in and make those exact changes, but what it will do is at least open you up, as long as you're open to the feedback, to some new things you could be doing. Now, I've met some bloggers out there where they say, what he says doesn't, no. So if you take on this journey of getting a coach, a mentor, or even an accountability partner, make sure you're open to feedback. Okay, let me sleep on that. Let me think why they would be saying something like that. So definitely make sure you're open to it, because if you're not, you're just wasting your own time, money, and energy. So you got to be open to the feedback and saying, okay, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I could do that, but I'm not ready to do that yet. So in either case, approach it with an open mind. So thanks for joining me in this video. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, or grab some freebies off my website. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.